Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back with another video from Any News. We've got another Overlord Cut content video covering episode 4 of season 1. And we're just going to get straight into it. I like that he is continuing this Overlord series, and I hope he still continues with it. And I cannot wait for season 4.
Anime tends to leave behind is the extremely comprehensive world building that goes into the New World.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information that helps develop the other nations and the people within them, which more often than not gets left behind to instead focus on Ainz and Nazarick. That's not
Makes
necessarily
sense.
a bad thing, but it does take away from a major element of the story. One that really ties into Ainz's master plan, as well as adds a lot to the mystery behind what this new world is.
Okay.
So, just like how we did last week, let's take a look at everything we missed from episode 4 of
Awesome.
Overlord. Episode 4, The Ruler of Death.
Cool.
Covering chapters 4 and 5 from Volume 1 of the light novel. One of the key things I forgot to mention in the last cut content was the actual reason behind why Ainz decided to become an adventurer.
Oh, okay, yeah, cool.
Was to only gather more information.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Only be telling you half the story. What the anime leaves out is the objective that led him to this goal in the first place. A motive which yet again relates to his extremely cautious nature. So, the thing that Ainz had come to realize was that the common sense he had picked up from his previous world was completely different from the common sense that existed in this new one.
Right.
Whatever laws he believed to govern the world of Earth could very well be different from the laws that governed here. Point in case, despite Ainz hearing Japanese from the people he talked to, the lip movements they were making indicated that that wasn't what they were speaking.
Oh.
Then, just the very concept of magic being reality was yet another aspect which indicated things were different.
Completely, yeah, okay,
As
makes
for
sense.
How much different? Well, that's what Ainz was trying to find out. By not knowing what others considered to be common sense, the chances of him committing a fatal error would certainly be increased. Thus, the reason he knew he needed to
Very clever.
He understood that in order to learn the common sense he lacked, he needed to examine a large number of models.
Actually live as an adventurer.
The key moment that relates all the way to where we are in Season 3 is the establishment of the plan that would continue to guide his actions. An intricate plot intended to attract the attention of any potential Yggdrasil players. This wasn't just to spread the good word of Ainz but it also entailed becoming cooperators with one of the 3 superpowers. By becoming allies with the Kingdom, Empire, or Theocracy, not only could Ainz maintain Nazarick's own self-governance, but the path to obtain information would be significantly easier. Plus, so long as the relative strength of each country remained a mystery, no significant action could be taken.
Yeah, he can't move in without knowing how strong they are.
What he was up against. That being the case, Ainz wasn't about to roll over and become some nation's pet either.
Yeah, no.
He was more interested in displaying his power to each of them than deciding which he would join in accordance with whoever treated him best. Just like how it was when finding a job, he would make connections when the time was right, then leverage said connections to figure out which would benefit him the most.
Yeah, which one's going to be best for him, right.
The master plan he'd come up with. The only problem was that the timing of making those connections was everything. Should he rush into a situation that he wasn't fully prepared for, then it was very likely the other party would end up taking advantage of him. Thus, the spectacular result we get at the end of Season 3. Now, if we fast forward to the very beginning of Episode 4, the group we see here was an elite squad from the Slain Theocracy.
Oh mate, this was so cool when he fought these.
Only the most illegal of activities. That being the case, it was only natural for this Spec Ops unit to consist of only the most elite soldiers. Not only did each member have to be capable of casting the highest tier faith magic a normal caster could attain, but they also needed to be in peak physical and mental condition. It was a very tight set of restrictions that ensured only the Theocracy's best could join. The reason they were struggling with this mission in particular, though, was because the Sunlight Scripture they represented mainly specialized in extermination missions. They didn't usually go on covert manhunts for specific soldiers, but instead went around wiping out demi-human villages.
Oh, wow, okay.
That was them following the scripture of the god they worshipped. So, after having let Gazef get away for the 3rd time now, many members started to think that this job would have been better for one of the other 6 scripture squads.
Do you reckon someone else could take over? We're not doing very well here.
Members, or perhaps the Windflower Scripture and its casters. With a squad as powerful as the Black, even the mighty Gazef would find himself struggling to escape from them. Unfortunately for the Sunlight, though, the Black Scripture was currently preparing for the catastrophe Dragon Lord's resurrection, while the Windflower Scripture was chasing a traitor.
Of course, they were all doing something else.
Missions that couldn't be disclosed to just anyone. So, as the Sunlight's captain considered his next available moves, he began to ponder the reason for the Theocracy wanting Gazef dead in the first place. There seemed to be much more to it than just taking out a strong piece from the board. If you consider how the kingdom was currently locked in a power struggle, you start to realize just how big of an impact Gazef's presence has on it.
Right.
As the strongest member on the king's side of the conflict, there was no way the opposing nobles would do anything while he was there to resist them. Even with the Slain Theocracy manipulating the nobles from the shadows, they were well aware Gazef was far too strong for them, especially when equipped with the kingdom's 5 treasures.
Mate.
If the Theocracy could somehow remove this trump card from play, though, then the kingdom would become much more susceptible.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Season 4 then. Boom.
You see, the Slain Theocracy was of the mindset that all humans needed to stick together. In a world filled with non-humans and monsters, the Theocracy felt unity as a species was the only way to move forward.
Okay.
Because their god and its teachings insisted on humanity's supremacy, the Slain Theocracy was doing everything it could to get other human nations to walk the same path as them, even if it meant attempting something like this. Now, normally a mission like this would be considered impossible, but with Gazef not currently wearing the kingdom's 5 treasures, the Sunlight Scripture believed this to be their only opportunity.
Get him while he's weak!
One of these 5 pieces of equipment would have made the task
Such a cool armor set, man.
Like,
My
the
god.
gauntlets would have made him never get fatigued, while the amulet would have provided a constant source of healing.
Oh, cool.
The sword was enchanted to the point where it could cut through anything, while the armor provided one of the most broken buffs of all. Not only was it crafted using the hardest metal in existence, but it also ensured its wearer wouldn't die when receiving a fatal critical hit. Kinda like how the Guardian Angel item from League of Legends worked. So, if Gazef was equipped with all this, then the Sunlight Scripture knew that they wouldn't have stood a chance
No
against
way.
him.
They would
They
not at
honestly
all,
didn't
yeah.
think that any human would. Fortunately for them, though, they were able to use their influence with the nobles and have his equipment stripped from him. And because of that, they were now highly confident that they could do it,
Yeah.
especially since they had the option to put to use one of their own country's sacred treasures. What this item was one of only 3 types of non-standard magic items.
Oh.
Extremely rare treasures left behind from the conquerors of eras past. The most recent were the
Cool.
relics of the 8 kings of Avarice, which were once used to rapidly dominate the continent over 500 years ago. Before that were the hidden treasures of the Dragon Lords, powerful artifacts said to be crafted from the most potent dragon magic.
Whoa.
Then the rulers before them were the 6 gods who now make up the foundations of the Slain Theocracy's religion.
Right.
All powerful entities from
God, there's so much. There's so much lore and history and stuff. Jesus.
Treasures, one of which the Sunlight Scripture was now ready to use against Gazef. Before they would bring out that, though, the first monsters they summoned were angels, creatures from another world that the Slain Theocracy believed to serve their gods. They definitely weren't enough to beat Gazef alone, but they were certainly troublesome enough to make him worry.
Yeah.
Thus the reason he would try to recruit Ainz here. Something the anime didn't quite show us, though, was the incredible foresight of Gazef to realize Ainz wasn't someone to be messed with. You see, Gazef did suggest he could invoke royal law and force Ainz to fight, but every part of his trusted intuition told him not to. Just the fact he was in control of an undead knight was more than enough to indicate Ainz's magic was unfathomable.
Yeah, it's like, let's be careful with this.
He knew that opposing Ainz here was the worst mistake he could make right now. So, rather than force this topic any further, Gazef instead proceeded like how we saw in the anime, eventually leading to his departure for battle shortly after. Now, while most of this was pretty much the same, there was a bit more to be said about Gazef himself, specifically regarding how he fought. It was through his sheer power of will that Gazef was able to push his body beyond its limits and reach a level of power that very few were capable of.
Go ahead,
He
lad.
had achieved the level of hero and started using multiple martial arts at once. One was to boost his strength, the next to boost his mind, another to increase his magic defense, then one to enchant his weapon. The rest were spent on whatever offensive martial arts he was casting at the time. At first, this was enough to handle the barrage of angels coming at him, but
Yeah,
because
that
he
was
didn't
cool.
have the gauntlets which prevented fatigue, eventually Gazef's
He's gonna get
exhaustion
tired, yeah,
started
makes
to get the
sense.
better of him.
Right.
His arms were becoming heavy and movements becoming sluggish. Arts that previously made fighting significantly easier were now only adding to the burden he was feeling. But even so, Gazef would continue to use every ounce of his energy to defy the opponent standing in front of him. It was an incredibly tense moment that really highlighted exactly the type of person he was. Fast forward to when he was teleported away, and that's when we get to the first scene depicting...
That was
just
cool,
how
that.
badass
I
he
was just like, right, see you later, mate.
For a caster such as himself to appear face-to-face with a larger number of enemies, well, that just went to show exactly how confident he was. He had even done the courtesy of telling them he wouldn't have shown up unless he was 100% certain of his victory.
Oh, bloody
Of
hell,
course, that was
guys.
rather
You
hard for
cannot
the
win
Slanes
against
to
me.
believe, but considering his lofty conviction conviction and oppressive aura, they couldn't fully dismiss the possibility that he could be telling the truth. So, the first thing that led them closer to that belief was the bewildering feat of him picking up the two angels.
So sick.
Yes, surviving their attack was one thing, but to pick up in each hand a summon that weighed more than a heavily armored adult human male, well, that was a feat which was
that looks so sick.
Perhaps a well-built warrior who had spent their entire life training could eventually be able to do it, but the person in front of them was supposed to be a caster. He was supposed to be someone who had spent their entire life increasing their wisdom and magical energy. Not a person who could do more than what even the most physically fit.
Yeah, he's going to be able to, like, physically, like, just maul all these, like, angels.
Was the single spell Ainz had cast to wipe out all 40 of their angels.
Crazy.
This was a truly unfathomable feat of power
Negative
that not even Black
burst.
Scripture could pull off. Many refused to believe it, but it was now perfectly clear that they were fighting someone who was at least as strong as they were. If they actually went and thought about the situation a little bit more, though, then they would have easily realized that Ainz was even more powerful. You see, sure, a Black Scripture member would also be able to take on all those angels, but the true feat was having done so with a single spell. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone in the Black Scripture who was able to do the same.
Right, so people could potentially fight them, but not in the way that Ainz did.
Then they would have no choice but to come to terms with their
The fact he's got Albedo there as well, it's like, what? Why does he even need it?
Realization that was nothing short of a nightmare. Now, what Albedo had used to take out the soldier here was a combination of missile parry and counter arrow. Two counterattack skills that proved to be stronger than whatever defensive magic the Theocracy had put in place around them. So, with their defenses now shown to be worthless, the Sunlight Scripture's captain
we can't do anything.
Next. The Principality observation that was previously buffing their defenses. It was while this summon remained stationary that its special ability of increasing defenses remained active. That was the purpose of its observation. It was constantly watching over the battlefield, then providing a defense buff in accordance with what it was seeing. As we saw, though, despite this angel having the highest defense out of all the principalities, as well as a buff that came from being summoned by the Sunlight Scripture's captain, it still wasn't enough to get Ainz to even react. What did, though, was the potential of facing off against a Seraph-class angel, which Ainz knew very well to be the highest rank from Yggdrasil.
Whoa,
it was
okay.
the monster he believed to be sealed away in the crystal, since the Theocracy was boasting how it was the most powerful angel in their possession. He did doubt that it could be Seraph the Empyrean, but the humans summoning it made it seem like it was the ultimate creature known to man. They described it as an angel sealed away
Nothing
from
could beat my summon.
That was well known to be capable of wiping out entire cities. Of course, what Ainz saw instead was a measly Dominion authority whose limit was a mere 7th tier spell.
Damn,
a level of magic
mere
far
7th.
beyond what any human was capable, but still not enough to do significant damage. So, as soon as Ainz had once again come out unscathed, the captain had no choice but to once again reevaluate what he was up against. To him, the only people capable of fighting against high-level angels were the 6 gods, the kings of dragons, then the evil spirits which once brought calamity. Since the 6 gods were the beings he worshipped, and the Dragon Lords a completely different race, the only conclusion to be made was that Ainz was an evil spirit. Demonic entities who were previously sealed away by the 13 heroes. Then, when Ainz had defeated the angel with a single spell, that
this is crazy.
Scripture knew for certain that they were up against an anomaly. No existence they've ever heard or read about came even close to the one that they were dealing with here. Whatever this Ainz Ulgon was, it possessed a level of power that shouldn't even exist.
Wow.
Leaving the Sunlight Scripture no choice
Wow.
but to resign to their fate. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's crazy, I like that.
Just like with the others, I hope you were able to learn a lot more about the story of Overlord.
Yeah, man.
Now, since I did miss last week, I do want to
I love that there's loads of lore and stuff like that we've not
Your
got.
generous support of the content really is greatly appreciated. So, for any of you that want your name shown at the end of the next video, feel free to leave a super thanks comment yourself. Now, before I go, I'd like to thank Counterside once again for sponsoring this video.
That was cool. I like it. I hope he continues with it. I feel like because Shield Hero isn't doing that great, or like people aren't really getting into it, people aren't really checking out the cut content videos, so I don't blame him for going back into the Overlord stuff. Plus, I'm so hyped for Season 4, it's nice to get like a little recap on like what happened in the very first season and how it plays out into plans and stuff that happened in Season 3. But anyway, thanks to my patrons. You're going to have your name at the end of every video upload. Links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month to help support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch, discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.